Another day is here, and you're ready for it. What to wear? Check. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner? Check. Planning for what's next and how to save for it? That's where Bank of America can help. For your financial to-dos, Bank of America has experts ready to help get you closer to your goals. Get started at one of our local financial centers or 24/7 in our mobile banking app. Find a location near you at bankofamerica.com/talktous. What would you like the power to do? Mobile banking requires downloading the app and is only available for select devices. Message and data rates may apply. Bank of America N.A., member FDIC.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. With the price of just about everything going up during inflation, we thought we'd bring our prices down. So to help us, we brought in a reverse auctioneer, which is apparently a thing.
Mint Mobile Unlimited Premium Wireless. How to get 30, 30, bit to get 30, bit to get 20, 20, 20, bit to get 20, 20, bit to get 15, 15, 15, 15, just $15 a month? Sold!
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 up front for 3 months plus taxes and fees. Promo rate for new customers for limited time. Unlimited more than 40 gigabytes per month. Slows full terms at mintmobile.com.
There's a lot that could impress you about the all-new Honda Prologue EV. True, it's got class-leading passenger space and clean, thoughtful design and intuitive technology. But what really sets the Prologue apart from the competition is that it's more than an EV. It's a Honda. Honda, the power of dreams. Visit honda.com/prologue to learn more.
Thanks for choosing this free Anfield Index podcast. If you'd prefer to listen to this or any of our other shows without adverts, then now's the time to check out Anfield Index Pro. With AI Pro, you can supercharge your entire listening experience. You'll not only get all of our podcasts without the ads, but you'll have them far faster with our Quick Publish feature available exclusively for subscribers. AI Pro also puts you in the heart of our sound studio, with an option to listen to many of our shows live and interact with the podcasters in real time as the shows are recording. Upgrading couldn't be easier. AI Pro is available on all popular podcast platforms. Just head on over to AnfieldIndexPro.com and get started today.
Hello and welcome to the Anfield Index Podcast. I'm Trev Downey. I'm joined by Lisa Marie Hanahan for episode number, Lisa Marie?
We unmute myself. Episode number 389 of the Anfield Index Podcast.
I caught you on the hop there beautifully, didn't I? I'm so happy. You didn't expect me to throw it to you quite so quick. It is at episode 389, is that what you said? 389?
That is correct, 389.
We are edging closer and closer to that 400. And when it comes, it's going to have to be a celebration because 350 was such a damn squib that we ended up doing nothing for it. 400 we failed. I'm not sure quite what kind of party it will be, but a party it will be. Celebratory, no doubt. It's not that long since we actually had a chat, although I was away on holidays, and that kind of put a little bit of a delay between this show and the previous one. In that interim, as you know, I've been off over on the very, very west of this lovely country of ours, picking out a few spots for you for your next tour, you know. I can happily report that you could probably spend all of it over there and not even see half of what you should see, but it is a wild and weary and wonderful place down there. It's just very, very raw in terms of feel like you're just literally edge of the world type feeling. Everything's cliffs and ocean and strong winds, and if it rains, it rains sideways. But when the sun shines, oh my God, there is. I was
going to say, from the pictures you kept posting, I don't know that you got a whole lot of rain or. No, I mean, no. Everything you posted was really not just clear, but sunny for the most part. So it looked like you had beautiful weather.
We got so lucky. And it was lovely.
I sent it your way. I sent you some Ireland weather luck.
Maybe it's rubbing off, yeah. Because I was communicating with my pals here, and my best pal just literally said, "You are lying." Stop it. I started sending him videos, and instead of going, "Oh man, you're so lucky, that looks cool," he went, "Fucking bastard." Because they were inundated, deluged with rain here for the first 2 days while I was over there and experiencing just absolutely tropical conditions. But anyway,
and whereas it was hotter than a front porch in hell here, and we were desperate need of rain. I mean, we have not had much rain at all. We did get a shower, and we've been getting a few showers here, but I mean, the the grass is starting to look kind of crispy and, even brown in spots just because we are badly due some rain. So, yeah, I'd even take the rain at this point in time.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, my lawn is a bit brown at the moment because I'm tramping up and down around hedges and hacking away at them like some sort of man on a mission. I don't know what inspired me to do it, but I'm taking down these like 25-foot laurel hedges, which is very, very heavy duty stuff. And also there are brambles that you'd need a saw to get through. So I'm in a bad way, scarred up and all the rest of it, but it's just good old satisfying work. You can't really beat sawing stuff with power tools, It's kind of primal. I don't know what it is, but I do like it. We should get into the footy part of the show because we're going to do whatever it takes to get to the top of the hour here, about a 50 something minute show here today. Because again, I'm just aware that most people are used to that kind of hour or so for a show of this particular ilk. And I thought today what we might do is, because much as we might like it to be, there's very little happening that's exciting for people. I mean, there's only so excited you can be by the appointment of a new coach or whatever. So I think, although there are no big stories breaking, there are bits and bobs happening, and I thought we might sort of keep ourselves amused in that regard by having a look around through some of the bigger stories that are on the various websites at the moment. We will absolutely have a look at Anfield Index, but we'll start with the official club website. And I think the main thing of note there for me is that the first story is about a friendly against Preston, our first pre-season friendly, which happened there. I think the story went up 2 hours ago, so I'm not 100% sure what time the kickoff was or whatever, but there were a lot of lads who got a run out, and if you scroll through the story, you can see Sepp Vandenberg there, who apparently has been very, very impressive in pre-season training for what that's worth. Harvey Elliott and Connor Bradley are having shots from the edge of the box, which is nice to hear. Mo Salah's having shots just narrowly over the crossbar, which sounds very familiar after last season. And it's nice to hear that we're back in action. Of course, it's not too exciting to hear that Arne Slot's first outing ends in defeat to frickin' Preston. But let me just call out the team so you get an idea of who was involved.
In my mind, a lot of these things need to be taken in context.
Oh, for sure. Oh, for sure they do. The first half team was Jaros, which is very, very interesting because when I call out the second half team to you, you're probably going to make a little bit of a decision based on that. So the first half team was Jaros, Connor Bradley, Vandenberg, Kwanzaa, Simicas, Jones, Elliott, Szoboszlai, Endo came on for him, Ben Doak, Mo Salah and Carvalho. So quite a strong lineup there in terms of, a pre-season first match of the year. The second half team that went out, a lot less familiar, although because we got that exposure to all the youngsters in the tail end of the Klopp era, probably more familiar to most people than it would have been otherwise. It was Davies in goal, Stevenson, Nallo, Phillips, Chambers, who was replaced by Beck, Endo, who was replaced by Neoni, Bajcetic, Morton, McConnell, Kumas, who was replaced by Blair, and Gordon. And again, an awful lot of these names, Cade Gordon and young Kumas and McConnell and Morton and Bajcetic and all these guys who were very, very excited by, including Trey Neoni. It's great to see them involved at this early stage as well, and the manager getting a feel for what he's got in his hands there. So I have to say, it's actually, normally at this time of the season, Lisa Marie, I'm still massively detached. But maybe it's because it's the beginning of a new era. I find myself absolutely enthralled by what's happening on a day-to-day basis. Obviously impatient for us to sign all the players, but just absolutely engaged. Again, probably because it's new. I don't know, how have you been treating this type of thing? Are you still in holiday mode in terms of your level of interest?
I would say I'm kind of somewhere in between. I think, yes, I think like yourself, I'm very kind of interested just to see, as Slot has more time to work with the players, just some of the different things that might happen or might be done, and with the current squad, and of course, like yourself, I'm eager for us to get a few, some new faces, to be introduced to us, to get to know as well. But yeah, I've been sort of half engaged, and part of that has just been, it has been a ridiculously busy week at work, so I haven't necessarily had all the time to listen to all the podcasts and that sort of thing, like I might have in some other points in time. But yeah, I'm like you. I find myself just excited about just the new possibilities, or just being able to talk about some things in a different context.
Yeah, that's it. I think I was trying to talk about this. I think I did a sub appearance for Dave on Daily Red yesterday. I was trying to explain this concept. I think I mentioned it on a couple of other shows as well, is that I've had this level of impatience for the new thing to start. And I suppose that's why I find myself a little bit more, engaged than I normally would be. And even down to like trying to mine out little details, like how do we lose 1-0 to Preston? And I'm reading the match report here to find out that it's a bit of a wonder strike from long distance and goes in off a post. And you go, oh, okay, right, that's fine. These kind of things happen, as you said earlier on. But the thing I was taking away there, and I was alluding to earlier on with the two lineups, like first half, second half, is Yaros replaced by Davies, no Kelleher. And that could be quite simply that he's maybe got a little bit of a knock or something, but there's no mention of that. And it does sort of make you start to think, transfer market, saleable assets, a guy who clearly wants to be a number one. I wonder, is it a little statement? You can't help thinking about things like that now, if you know what I mean.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, the expectation has been, since the end of the season that, Kelleher is likely to go, is interested in moving on and is very much likely to move on. So him not being included doesn't necessarily surprise me either. And the other thing too, about, we lost to Preston, again, it was a one goal loss, but, I'm looking at these names, and I mean, these are players that, not likely really played together anyway, I mean, obviously some groups and some of them have, but, that's kind of the point of some of these preseason matches, isn't it? Is to get them on the pitch together in a game setting to see how they work. Is that how they work together? So, to me, I've never gotten all worked up about, we've lost these preseason games. This doesn't look well. Now, don't get me wrong. When I go to the preseason match here in a few weeks, I certainly do want to see them, especially since it's against United. Yeah. But I get to be hypocritical later on. So yeah. So I mean, to me, especially this being the very first one, the purpose of this is for Slot and and again, this is essentially a whole new coaching staff. So it's not like it's just Klopp that's gone and you've still got, the other coaches that are, very familiar with the players and everything. I mean, you've got basically a whole new lineup here. So they've, and it's one thing to watch them on film, from games and things, but, working with them day to day and then, seeing them perform in game, I imagine it's a completely different thing. And, it's just, it takes some time. And then, I mean, we still have how many players that still need to come back, for heaven's sakes?
Yeah, and I think more than anything else this year, even people who are inclined to be a little bit precious about pre-season results, nobody likes to see your team lose, obviously, but this year more than in the last, whatever it is, 7-8 years, it doesn't really matter a damn, because they are, as you were alluding to there, a new staff, but also it's a totally new way of playing, and all these guys have to get used to it. You can make a little bit much out of tactics and systems, in my sort of humble opinion, because good players are good players. And if you are a coach, you can impart some basic ideas. It doesn't need to be this awfully complex thing that will take ages to bed in. It just doesn't. There's way, way, way too much made of that side of things, in my humble opinion. I think that side of things comes in where you're talking about marginal gains, like it's a percentage here, a percentage there. But the big thing here is a new kind of system of play. We know that a lot of people will have perhaps erroneously talked about how Klopp and Slot have very similar styles. But whatever way it happens, whatever the similarities are, perhaps Slot likes, high energy football. Perhaps he likes his front line to close down. Not many teams don't press now, if we're being perfectly honest. There will be individual ideas that Slot has that were very, very different to Klopp, and let's be honest, to Linder's. So that's going to take as long as it takes to bed in. And, it could be a slow start to the season as well. And I think that's where the nerves will really start fraying. If our start to the season is not as impressive as we'd like, a lot of people will start throwing toys out of the pram. And I don't know what you think about that. Skipping on to the early part of the season, it really is going to be paramount for Liverpool fans' sanity that they do allow that there's going to be a bedding in period. It would be wonderful, and it could possibly be a thing that we will hit the ground running. That could happen. And again, the fact that the squad will be comparatively similar should mean that there's a good chance of that happening. But we have to be prepared, Lisa Marie, for the fact that it mightn't happen.
I don't need a VPN. I've got nothing to hide. Ha. This is what I used to tell myself before I hooked up with LibertyShield.com. Not only is my home internet now fully encrypted, but I can now access all the websites I want, whenever I want, and do so from absolutely anywhere. As a Liverpool fan, I love to know I can now watch every match, regardless of whether it's on UK TV or not. My Liberty Shield VPN makes sure nothing is blocked and guarantees me super fast streaming speed throughout that match. You can get connected right now with their software package, which includes a 48-hour no-obligation free trial and instant access to their apps for Apple, Android, Fire TV, PC, Mac and Android TV. Or go a step further like I have and get one of their pre-configured VPN routers. These small but powerful devices allow you to easily connect every device in your home to VPN, making it the perfect solution for smart TVs, Mac boxes and games consoles. Visit LibertyShield.com today and use coupon code AIVPN25 to get 25% off at checkout.
Think you know the Brooks Ghost? Think again. Introducing the all-new, better-than-ever Ghost 16. Now with nitrogen-infused cushioning for lightweight, supreme softness that feels good every step, every street, every single day. So go ahead, take your daily joyride in the all-new nitrogen-infused Ghost 16. It'll turn your everyday miles into everyday endorphins. Let's run there. Head to brooksrunning.com to learn more.
When you need mealtime inspiration, it's worth shopping Kroger, where you'll find over 30,000 mouth-watering choices that excite your inner foodie. And no matter what tasty choice you make, you'll enjoy our everyday low prices, plus extra ways to save, like digital coupons worth over $600 each week. You can also save up to $1 off per gallon at the pump with fuel points. More savings and more inspiring flavors make shopping Kroger worth it every time. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
Come play Skyline's 75th Coney Hunt game. Use your phone to search for virtual conies, tap to collect coins, and redeem them for exclusive Skyline merchandise at participating Skyline restaurants for a limited time. Details at skylinechili.com/coneyhunt.
Absolutely. And again, you and I can speak in these very calm and sane tones right now, but
Yeah.
But check with us again in September after we, not yet won a game or something, and we'll see how calm and measured and we are at that point in time. But yes, I think there, I'm in agreement with you that I think we, these things need to be kept in mind. But again, and it's, you're right. I both things that you said, that yes, new coaches, new system, or potentially new system, et cetera, or certainly new system to a degree. But yes, also still the same players, or a number of the same players. So you would hope that would make the transition that bit smoother. But my magic, 8 ball is in the shop right now, so I can't predict what will happen. And so I think you're right. But yes, I mean, we all just kind of, I'm not even going to finish that statement. I'm going to say, we all just need to keep a calm and level head, because we know that's exactly what's going to happen with everybody involved. Absolutely. Fan-wise. They're all going to be calm and patient. Just to look at this in a very even-keeled way.
Probably especially.
Right.
Especially on Twitter, right?
Absolutely, on social media. 100%.
Yeah. That's probably the place where you can find the most tranquil atmosphere to discuss matches. I would recommend that to anyone. And listen, far be it from me to come across as some sort of Dalai Lama type figure here. If we have a bad result against Ipswich in the fucking 12:30 kickoff, and then follow that up with a bad result,
I fully expect you and Hendrik to be ranting and raving on wrong. I mean, I would be honestly very disappointed if you didn't.
Oh, don't worry about it. You can guarantee it. And if we follow that up with a bad result against Brentford, everyone will think the wheels have come off immediately, because you know what's up next, don't you? We go to Old Trafford, and they're signing all our players in vertical.
Oh, yes, our players.
Yeah, they stole Lenny Yoro. Now they're getting Manuel Ugarte, apparently. And it's just, I've heard Dave today chatting about, and I think last week, and not just Dave, a lot of people talking about, it's early days, and I do like the argument put forward by Steve Smith, who obviously writes really well for Anfield Index. The article that I saw him put forward several times, which is, look, it would be daft to do anything before we have all our staff, all our players accounted for. So that just actually meant only last week we could actually start to fully make plans for who needs to be signed, and not to suggest that stuff wasn't happening and things weren't, the bedrock wasn't being laid left, right and centre for various deals. But I do understand, Lisa Marie, I will have to say this, and I don't want to denigrate people who did get upset about the Euro thing too much. I saw a lot of that denigration going on, and I want to maybe to speak up for some people who were upset about that, because we were told he was the greatest thing since sliced bread, and everyone was really high on him. And then when Real Madrid were in the reckoning, was like, well, we can't compete with that. They're probably the only club that we just have to hold our hands up and say, okay, fine. But then it turns out that he was available, and then it turns out that Man United are getting him. So I do kind of understand why a lot of people will be bent out of shape, specifically because he's gone to that lot. You do have to be fair and allow people to have a little bit of an event. It's not the end of the world. There are very good arguments for why we can make better moves, but you do have to allow people to be a bit pissed, specifically because he went there. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. But, to me, it feels, and this is going to be kind of an ugly thing to say, but he feels like less of a threat going there than he would going to Real Madrid, if that makes sense. Just because of what a, clown show they've been in the last few years, and, how they've managed to not do well with the young talent that they have signed, previously. So you have to really wonder, how well it's really going to go. But they have him, and he's an asset, regardless. So, yeah. But yes, I don't know. I kind of I'm holding out hope that the fact that we're not hearing a lot of activity means that there's all kinds of stuff going on in the background, and we're just going to be kind of blindsided by something wonderful here in the next week or so. The sneak attack sort of stuff that Michael Edwards used to pull off in the past. All of
yes.
Here's
yes.
Fabinho. Here's Allison. These things that used to happen. I'm holding out hope that that's the way it's going to play again. So we'll see.
I think what's particularly frustrating is there seems to have been a couple of these stories in a row, and we got used to this feeling of being second when it comes to either a flat out here take my money sort of affair like we had with the lads who went to Chelsea, or if in other ways where we're linked, and then these promising players who all of our pundits get really high on end up going elsewhere. And you see something like the Calafiori thing, where a lot of people were saying, the guy's probably exactly what we need, and he's going to Arsenal.
But is he? I don't know.
Right. There's apparently that's hit a bit of a wall, but I saw us being linked with Mark Guay, and I think he seems to be a really good footballer and could be very good for us for sure. I thought he looked very good during the Euros, and we're only kind of being linked apparently. If I look at what's being said on Anfield Index, because Arsenal have stepped back. Now, of course, this could all be bollocks. I do realise that, and people can only report the scuttlebutt that they're hearing. But I guess I have a lot of sympathy, especially since I started doing the transfer show with Dave Davis, and found myself getting involved with these stories in a way that I hadn't in the past, because I found it bad for my mental health, really, But I have a lot of sympathy for people who are who are now impatient, and again, I heard young Hendricks saying, "Oh, don't have a meltdown yet, wait a few weeks and then do it." But none of us wants to be doing it at all, and a lot of us want, as you said, the little sneak attack signings, and we'd like them sooner rather than later. And I think the more pre-season matches that go past, the more panicky people get, because you're losing an opportunity to have a fella bed in with a squad, and it doesn't make a whole lot of fucking sense not to have deals done as quickly as possible. It would, especially now in the new sort of apparently the brave new world of Mickey Edwards Part 2. We're told that this is going to be incredibly efficiently run club with all the best people doing all the best things. So that's, I think, also feeding into the impatience and the nervousness that nothing has happened as yet. But if I was to listen to Dave Davis, he has a feeling that the transfer market is kicking off. Our next show, we've actually delayed a couple of days because Dave's had a few updates on stories. We were going to go today, but he's had a few little updates and things and bits and bobs that are breaking. Not necessarily exclusively with Liverpool, but around the place, which will have a knock-on effect. So I guess it's a matter of hold your nerve on that. The next story on Anfield Index that I have in front of me is obviously Lenny Yoro, and then we've got this one here, which I think is worth clicking on. And this says, report, Liverpool star played through injury during 2024 Euros. And it's about Dom Szoboszlai. And this makes me nervous because I didn't think it was like we saw the ghost of Dom Szoboszlai after his injury in January. Wasn't the hamstring injury in January? It was just, he was very much a shadow of the guy who was arguably our best player in the first half of the season. Made an immediate impact and had people purring over how good he was going to be, and he was a shadow of himself in that second half of the campaign, and I think probably struggled quite a lot during the Euros as well. in terms of he certainly didn't set the place on fire or anything. So to hear that he's actually played in that tournament while crocked, now, granted, he was one of the names I mentioned there that played in the preseason friendly, so maybe that's not something to stress about. But here's the point I'm getting to. Do you fear, in terms of the squad, do you fear for injuries, given how many lads were involved comparatively late in tournaments and are still not back and won't be back for a while to training? Without reinforcements, it does feel like we could be, it's not down to the bare bones, but a bit thin very quickly with a couple of knocks, couldn't we?
Well, potentially, but Joe Gomez didn't play a minute, did he, for England? So, I mean, while he was away at the Euros, he kind of got a bit of a vacation over in Germany, essentially. And of course, Trent didn't play as much as, I mean, I don't want to say we would have liked to have seen, but it's usually fine by us that he's not putting the minutes in. But yeah. So the two of them, while not yet back, I think they should, not. I mean, the ones I'm a little more concerned about are Alexis, McAllister, Luis Diaz, Van Dijk and Gakpo, who played quite a few minutes both for Netherlands and then respectively for Argentina and Colombia. Those are the ones that, that I might have a little bit more of a worry over, if you will. But the way they were all pretty much performing, didn't look as though they had picked anything up. So that's hopefully, good news for us. So yeah, I'm not super worried. And going back to Dominic Szoboszlai, it seems like in one of the podcasts at some point that either Dave Davis did with Ben Bossack, that he mentioned Dominic carrying a bit of a knock, during the Euros. And I think I caught maybe part of one of the Hungary games, or even I'm just remembering listening to Dave and Carl or Guy talking about it in their daily Euros podcast, that he wasn't, the usual level of performances that we had been seeing, not just from us on the Liverpool end, but that he had been putting in for Hungary, over the last year or so as well. So I think he likely either, that injury he had picked up for Liverpool earlier in the season just had never quite gotten 100%, or he picked up another little something, toward the end of the season, or potentially, who knows, combination of both. But if he was, playing today, you would hope that whatever it was, was relatively minor, and, with the rest he's had since Hungary was knocked out, he's fully fit at this point in time.
You mentioned lads who've been involved deep into the Copa America. Obviously, Alexis McAllister is a champion again with his international team. And Darwin Núñez was involved late in that
yes.
tournament.
Sorry, I totally forgot about Darwin. And
obviously Alisson as well. So there's two things I wanted to chat to you about, because these things happened since we last spoke. The first one was, now again, I was on holiday, so receiving the news and the updates very much in holiday mode for the first of these two things I wanted to chat to you about. So the first one is the whole thing with the Darwin going into the crowd thing, and I'll be honest. Obviously, I'm predisposed to like him, but when I saw him do it first, I thought, wow, that does not look good. But I didn't have the context, and so slowly but surely you get the context of the families, their families, and them feeling that the families were under threat and in imminent danger, and therefore that is a retaliatory thing. And all of a sudden, and it's not big or it's not clever, but my brain goes exactly there. I would do exactly that. You do not do that to my family. And I get some sort of red mist, and I understand that reaction. I am not condoning it. I'm not saying it's big or clever. I'm saying that I fully understand it. I have a little bit of a dread of what's going to happen to the guy, regardless of whether it's entirely justifiable or not in terms of some sort of act. Any ban will be for international football if it occurs. I hope nothing happens to him, to be honest, because like I say, my take on it was well, if I was him and that had happened to my wife and my kid, I've done exactly the same. I'm not saying it's big or clever, but I didn't get it probably in as much detail as you did, because I was quite detached and I was piecing it together over a couple of days. What was your reaction to that story and your feeling about it in general? Like, am I way off beam, or what do you think?
Hey guys, it's Eddie Gibbs from Anfield Index here. I hope you're enjoying this podcast, and I'm sorry to call time on the show before it ends. In the current climate, it's tougher than ever before to offer podcasts for free. At Anfield Index, we produce over 75 free shows every month, which I'm confident is unparalleled in the LFC sphere. Whilst we'd love to offer everything for free, the production costs now make this impossible. That said, we don't want to follow the model of other channels and lock all of our content behind a paywall. So what we've decided to do is to continue offering every show for free, but cut that offering to 30 minutes on our longer shows. So to get all of our shows in full and enjoy the best of everything we have to offer, we really hope you'll consider supporting the channel and signing up at AnfieldIndexPro.com. For about the price of one cup of coffee, you'll get every podcast in full with 0 ads. You'll also get access to our LFC VIP community, where you can enjoy live podcasts, engage with our podcasters, and chat with other Reds in real time. So that website again, AnfieldIndexPro.com. Join today.
Sports Social Podcast Network.